Hello, my name is Maria Clark, and I am the Executive Director of the Non-Resident Tax Help Group. Today, I'm going to give you a demonstration of how to prepare tax returns through our International Tax Clinic using Lisa Hui as an example. This is a re-recording of an event that we held on February 3rd, 2024 for the University of Minnesota students. The general process is going to be the same no matter what state you live in. The federal will be exactly the same, and then the state may change just a little bit, but the general process will be the same. So to begin with, the first thing that you're going to want to do is request a free membership if you don't have one of those already. For everyone who has a school, nonprofit, or government email account, you can go to our main website and request a free membership. If you're a University of Minnesota student or scholar, teacher, or researcher, you can go to our VTAP's website and request a membership there. Accounts are automatically approved, but we do remove access for those who request accounts with non-approved email addresses, such as Gmail, Hotmail, iCloud, etc. Once you do that, you're going to want to get ready, gather your income documents, make sure your return is in scope, and then proceed to doing your taxes. So let's talk about Lisa. Lisa is an F1 student example from China. She's completely made up. She's not a real person. Her birthday is on January 1st, 2001. She is a single lady. She came here to the US on August 8th, 2021. And then she went home last summer, or the summer before last. So May 24th, 2022 through August 31st, 2022. She lived off campus for all of 2023. She worked on campus. She filed her tax returns for the second time in March of 2023. She had a 2022 W-2 that showed she paid $750 in federal tax and $350 in Minnesota tax. She filed her tax return for 2022 on her federal return. She claimed her treaty for wages and she got a $205 refund. She also filed a Minnesota 2022 return and paid additional $107 of tax. She is studying accounting here at the University of Minnesota. This is her information for the International Student Services Group at the University of Minnesota. And her passport is a very made up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so on that tax process overview, we're ready to go into the first step, which is to gather income documents. And during the original presentation, we had representatives from the University of Minnesota's payroll department who are here talking about the document availability. And essentially, 1042Ss are going to be mailed by March 15th. So if you do not get your 1042S by March 25th, you can request a duplicate copy if you're a University of Minnesota student by contacting the OHR Contact Center, which is ohr@umn.edu. 1042s are sent out for scholarship fellowship payments as well as employment income under a tax treaty. W-2s also have been sent out and are available under MyU, and those are sent out for employment income only. If you have any questions, again, that's the email or you can call them at that number right there. All right, so Lisa has been doing a good job. She is organized. She received a 1042S. It has income code 20 in box number 1 and $5,000 in box number 2. As a student from China, she can exempt up to $5,000 of wages from her income, and that's what that is for. She also got a 1099 from the state of Minnesota. During 2023, the state of Minnesota had a state surplus for their tax, and they provided one-time rebates to individuals who filed a 2021 return. Lisa did, and so she got a $260 one-time rebate, and this is her documentation for that. She also worked on campus, and she got a W-2 for those wages. So she had $5,000 of treaty exempt wages, and then an additional $8,400 of wages that were subject to tax. And here's her W-2 for that. All right, now we need to confirm that Lisa's tax return is in scope. So her income is not over $79,000, so that is great. She will be able to use the software to prepare her return. We don't support all states, unfortunately. The software generally will do them, but we aren't trained on all of them. But we can provide specific guidance for these states, and because Lisa's in Minnesota, we can provide support for her. We provide support for treaty benefits for wages and scholarships, and she doesn't have anything else, so we won't provide any other types of treaty benefits, but we do wages, scholarships, dividends, and capital gains. We don't provide support for self-employment income, 1099 NECs, or 1099 miscellaneouses, other than that one from the state of Minnesota. We also don't cover income earned outside the United States, amended returns, prior year returns, or cryptocurrency. But for us, hooray, Lisa doesn't have any of these things, so she is in scope and we can get started. All right, the next thing we're going to do is create our personalized guide. So I'm going to go to our website. So if this is your first time, this is our main website here. You can click on the free tax assistance and then request a free membership based on your organization. So if you go to school at one of these schools, click on that one. Otherwise, just click on the General North membership. Once you create your membership, you'll have a button up here that says your account, and you can log in, and then you'll choose, I have all of the options here, but you'll just have that one, and it'll take you straight to your home page. Here you can learn more about your taxes. You can also go through that same get ready, learn about your income documents, review your scope. But for us, we're going to do it. We're going to do taxes. So we are going to go to the Do Your Taxes tab. We are going to create a personalized guide. We'll click on this guide for Lisa. And this basically walks through a series of questions to help create a customized PDF guide that will walk you kind of step by step through preparing your tax return using the TaxSlayer software. And so we'll start for Lisa. So is Lisa a citizen of the United States or a national or a permanent resident? We would say no. She is a citizen of China. And she is a tax resident of China. That is where she lived before she came to the United States. So generally your tax residency is going to be where you lived. If you have any questions about that, you're welcome to email us and we'll help you figure that out as well. And now we're going to enter her visas and visits to the United States. So Lisa first came to the United States on August 8th, 2021. And then she went home the summer of 2022. So she left 5/24/2022. And then she came back in August 31st, 2022. And she hasn't left ever since. So that's all we need. If you have whatever your visa history is, you can just put it in here. We've got all of the different visa types. Note that if you were not an FJ MRQ visa holder, generally you're going to just be a non-exempt visa holder. That covers almost everything else. We'll check our status to confirm our tax residency, and she is a non-resident alien. And we'll continue. Was Lisa married? Nope, she was not married. If you are married, you should say yes, but for us, Lisa is not. Do you have a social security number or ITIN? We're going to say yes for Lisa, but I'm going to say no here just to kind of let you know. So if you don't have a social security or an ITIN number and you don't have any income, we have a personalized guide form where we can help you enter some additional information, answer a few more questions, and then we'll fill out the 8843 form for you. That's not what Lisa's going to need to do. She's going to have to do a real return. But if you don't have any income and you don't have a social security number, that is your good way to do this. All right, so Lisa had 3 documents. She had a W-2, she had a 1042-S where the box 1 income code was 20. And then she also had a 1099 miscellaneous. All right. And Lisa, because she's eligible for some treaty benefits, we need to enter her documents and compare to see if her treaty benefits match what her income documents say. So we enter that information, W-2s, 1042-Ss. If you got a fellowship but you don't have any documentation for it, which sometimes happens, you can just enter that as fellowship. All right. Lisa did not give any money to charitable organizations here in the US. She did not make any payments on student loans. She did file a tax return. All right, did you receive a refund? No, right? She had bad news. She had to pay extra money with her tax return. So we'll say yes there. All right. And then she was in Minnesota for the whole year. And then she received income while she was here. Did you receive a certificate of rent paid? Nope, Lisa did not get one of those. Did you receive a statement of property taxes payable? No. Did you receive the Minnesota one-time tax rebate payment? Yes, she did. Okay. And there we go. We're going to create her personalized guide. And that will open up right there. Okay, so now we've created her personalized guide. So if we come back to our plan here, the next step will be to prepare her tax return. So when we are back here on our pages, do your taxes. We did our personalized guide. Now we're going to click our link here to access the TaxSlayer software. And give me a moment, we're going to log in over here. Okay, and here we are. So we are logged in. We are going to get started on Lisa's tax return. All right, and the way that this is set up is so that we can basically use this side by side to walk us through preparing the tax return. So in our guide, we've got some required disclosures. A reminder, right, TaxSlayer unfortunately is not a smart software. So just because you can make it show a number does not mean that number is right. So that is where using the guide to make sure everything is entered properly is very important because it's your responsibility to correctly prepare your own return, like I talked about in our tax orientation. All right, so you should be right here. Reminder of our scope. We did the software, we did this page. I logged in, I did that off screen so you didn't see my account information. Created an account. You can use a US cell phone number if you want to use a code. If you don't want to use a US cell phone number, you can just enter any phone number that you want to and then say to verify using a different method. So don't use a text message to verify your account and you can still get in and use the software. All right, so here we are, tax return created. So let's continue. All right, we're going to leave blank, remind later. Basically, do you want to get offers from them? We're going to say no thanks. We're going to enter some information. All right, so for us, we're going to say this is Lisa. We're going to use a pretend number because we're not actually filing a tax return for her. We're just doing this as an example. For occupation, we're going to enter her visa type, which is a student. You want to make sure that everything is correct on this because the birth date and social security number are some of the most common reject reasons. So double check that before you say continue. All right, we're going to enter her address, 200 University Avenue. This is, of course, not a real address. This is just a fake for our purposes here. And then for now, we're going to say full year resident. So if we need to make a change to this later, we can. It's no problem. But for now, we're going to say full year resident because we have to say something to move forward. All right, we're going to select all of these things that apply. So Lisa can't be claimed, but she was over 18 and a student. She is not blind. She is not dead. She's not going to contribute because she's a foreign national. She did not serve in a combat zone, none of these other things, no digital assets. That's all she's going to do. All right, and now the most important thing, we need to select non-resident alien for Lisa. We do not want to select single because that will assume a single resident. But she is a non-resident alien. We're going to say single non-resident alien. If you do accidentally select the wrong thing, this is the instructions about how to fix it. But she is single, so we say that and continue. She does not have any dependents, so we say no and continue. She does not have an identity protection PIN, right? If somebody stole your identity, you can tell the IRS and they will send you an extra 6-digit PIN number to make sure nobody can file your return on your behalf, but that does not apply to Lisa. All right, it confirms her information and we continue. All right, let's do it. Off we go. All right, so we're going to say, I don't know which forms I need. This is really intended for residents, and it can give you some extra error messages if you say yes. Now, very important, you want to see 2023 American Pledge up here in the upper left-hand corner. That means that you are using the free version of this software. If it says something else up there, please contact us. We will help you get your account reset and switched over to the free version. All right. At that point right here, you can save and log out if you want to. And then when you log back in, you can do a verification either through email or through your phone number. We're not going to do that here. We're going to just continue on. And we're going to go to basic information. And then 1040 NR schedule OI. So we're going to enter some information for Lisa. All right. Lisa is an individual. Her country of citizenship, remember, was China. And her country of tax residency was also China. It is not going to be the US, right? If she is a resident of the US, she is not a non-resident alien. She is going to need to use a different form. We are going to select other not listed for travel, and our visa is a non-immigrant visa type F1. She's never applied for a green card. Entering the green card lottery does not count for here, but if you win the green card lottery and you apply, then that does count. She's never been a citizen, never had that, never changed her visa. Number of days present. All right, so we have that information right here. So when she entered her travel days, that let us do all of the math to calculate those days for her. So 267 and 146. All right. Did she file a tax return? Yes, last year. Yes, she did. 2022, 1040 NR. Not filing for a trust, no alternative methods. None of this stuff applies. She does not want her check, refund check, if she gets one mailed to somewhere outside the United States. We're not going to do that. These things don't apply. We are not going to put a number in here. We do not want to do this. If we have to do that, there'll be instructions later, but for now, absolutely do not do that. All right, and we continue. The next thing we're going to do is enter the dates entered and departed in the current year. So this is going to be for 2023 only. We're going to put her first date that she was here in the US during 2023. She was here on January 1st, so that was kind of her first day present. So we're going to put January 1st, 2023. Remember, it's always going to be month, day, year convention. And she never left. She was here the entire year, so we're going to just continue. If she had come in and left, we would add additional dates that she came in and left. But for us, it's super easy. We can just continue for Lisa. All right, and then we're going to continue here. And then we're back at the main page. All right. The next thing we're going to do, we go to federal section, which is where we are. We're going to go to miscellaneous forms. And then we're going to do aliens exempt for medical condition or other reasons. And we get other reasons. So again, some of this information is filled in for us. This is going to be her date, most recent date of entry during the tax year. So in 2023 or sooner. It's not going to be a 2024. It will not like that date, but whatever her last date. So imagine really if you're going out and you get your I-94 data, like what is your most recent entry date? And for Lisa, that was when she came back from visiting her family on August 31st, 2022. That was her most recent entry. She's not ever changed her visa. Her current visa type is F1. All right, she was a citizen of China. China entered her passport or gave her her passport, so that's what we're going to enter here. Passport number was the very, very clever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we're going to enter some more days. We've already got the math, so we just need to type them in. 365 267, 146, and then 365. Okay. All right. There we go. So because Lisa is a student, she's going to enter this information now in Part 3 students. If she had been a teacher or trainee, we would go up to here and the guide would tell you to use that section. But we're going to go here. We're going to enter some information about her school. So it is the University of Minnesota. We're going to use the International Student Services phone number, 612-626-7100. The address, 301 19th Avenue South, 55455. It'll automatically look up the city and state for us, which is great. We're going to put Megan as her contact. So this is generally going to be an F1 advisor or the DSO, PDSO at the school. And then again, the same number, 612-626. That's a mistake on that number, 612-626-7100. There we go. What we really want with this form is this is where the IRS would contact the school to find out, were you really a student that year? And so we want it to be somebody that's going to still be there no matter when they call. And a professor or the director of your program is great. You can put that, but they do sometimes move on to new positions, in which case that name of that person and that phone number may no longer be valid. Whereas the general information for the International Student Services Group at the university is almost always going to still be there as long as that university is still active. All right, we put the address in. All right, next we move on to here. So, were you present as a teacher or trainee for any part of more than 5 years? Nope. She was only here in 2021, 2, 3, right? So this is her 3rd year. Did she apply for a green card or anything like that? No, she did not. She did not hold any visas in 27, 8, 9, 20, but she did have a visa in 2021. She had an F1. She didn't change. Same thing for 2022. Yes, she had a visa. It was an F1. She didn't change. If you did change, just say, yes, you changed, and then it'll ask you some information. But for Lisa, she's pretty simple. We don't have to do that. All right, and we're back here. We say continue. Off we go. Continue, continue. And we're back to the main page. Okay, now we're going to enter her wage income. Okay, so let's go back to the federal section. We're going to go to her W-2 and we're going to enter it. So as you're entering your W-2 information, the most important thing is you're going to just put whatever's on the form, right? Maybe it's an old address. That's totally fine. Like whatever's on the form, we're going to put it in. And if the information ends up to being too long, right, like the name of the school is too long, just type as many letters and characters as you can. And then when you run out of room, you run out of room. That's okay. All right, but for us, for Lisa, it's not going to be such a big problem. So her employer identification number is on her W-2. It is that. It is for the University of Minnesota. The address, again, slightly made up address. Use whatever is on your particular W-2. It's got the information. You can change it if it doesn't match. It copies it over from your address that you entered previously, but if it's not the same, you can just put whatever is real. All right, box 1 on her W-2 for Lisa was $8,400. And then she had $840 of tax withheld. These other boxes were blank for her, and that's okay, right? We're just copying whatever the form says. Boxes 12 and 13 and 14, all of that stuff is blank. It's all blank until we get down to the bottom for state. And then for state, we're going to go find Minnesota. And then Minnesota has a state tax ID as well, like the social security number, but for the organization. And it's got her wages and her state tax that was taken out. There we go. All right, we have entered her W-2, just like that. All right, we don't have any more W-2s for Lisa, but if you worked for another company, just click here, add another W-2, and go through that same process. All right. Now we're here on federal again. We're going to go to payments and estimates. All right. And then we're going to go form 1042S. We're going to enter her 1042S form. And so the information that is circled here in red is the information that is required. So if you look at the 1042S form that you received, that information should be there. I'm going to look at the one that we created, and I am going to enter that in here. Tax rate was 0. All right, Chapter 3 status code was 04, meaning it's treaty exempt, or at least they think it is. No amended returns or anything like that. All right, so income code, right? Right here, select an income code. That is what is ever in is box 1, which for Lisa, it is a 20. Compensation during studying and training. Gross income is box number 2, which was $5,000. All right, Lisa doesn't have any more information, but sometimes people will have information in box 7A for federal tax withheld. And then if you keep on going, box 10, total withholding credit. Those are some other key ones that you want to make sure you fill out. The other one that's required that we're going to enter here is her box 13F on her return, or her 1042S form, which says it's 16. So Lisa is an individual. That's basically what that form is saying, what that box is saying. She doesn't have anything else here. And we're going to just continue. All right, and that is Lisa's 1042S form. And that basically says, yes, she had some income that they think was treaty exempt, and so we're reporting it here. If you didn't get a 1042S form, that's no problem. Remember, you're never going to fill out those income documents. Those are always going to be provided to you by whoever gave you the money, whether it's a W-2 or a 1042S or any of the other forms. You are not going to fill those out. All right. We're back, we continue, we're back to the main page again. Okay, so as I mentioned, right, Lisa gets a treaty benefit. She gets $5,000 where she doesn't have to pay tax on wages that she's earned while working as a student. And she has a 1042S that shows that, so her treaty benefits match. And now we just need to enter her treaty benefits. All right, so we go back to basic information. We're going to go back to the 1040 NR Schedule OI. We're going to do income exempt from tax. All right. So now Lisa, of course, is not from South Korea. Lisa is from China. So we're going to select that. Now, treaty article. So we need to go back and look. Treaty article is 20C. So we go here and we say 20C. Number of months claimed. So she filed a tax return last year. And so I don't have an example for you, but we would look at her tax return form, and whatever number is on her tax return on her Schedule OI, we would take that number and add 12. And so for Lisa, her return last year said 0. It was her first time filing. So we're going to say 0 plus 12 is now 12. And her amount of exempt income is $5,000, right? That was her amount on her 1042S. And we continue, and we continue, and we continue again. This is why the guides are very long, because there's lots of clicking. All right, and we're back to the main page. Okay, here we go. All right, so generally 1099 miscellaneous forms are out of scope. We had a 1099 miscellaneous for the state of Minnesota. We will see this in our Minnesota tax guide. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. All right, let's talk about her state tax paid, right? She owed money. She was not happy when she came to visit us last year. So we're going to enter that information now. We're going to find that information. So I just gave it to you as a number, right? Her number was 107. It was not, fortunately, 1,237. That would be terrible news. All right, so we are going to go to deductions, which actually is where we are. That's great. We're going to do itemized deductions. We're going to say taxes you paid. All right, this looks just a tiny bit different. But again, we're not going to enter any information from her W-2, right? We're only going to enter that extra amount that she had to pay, which was $107. Then we say continue. And that's all we need to do. It's not even showing the summary anymore, but that's okay. Continue and continue. Lots of clicking. All right, and we're back to the main page again. All right, and that's her federal tax return. So we're going to move on to her state tax return. So let's go here. If we logged out and logged back in, we would come back to this main return screen. We're going to go to state over here. All right. And here we are. So now we're synced back up with where we need to be. All right. So it started the Minnesota return automatically for her. So we're going to just keep on going right here. And we're right here. So that just basically selected that for her. We're going to continue. Yep, so this has started you first. You'll go right there. All right, so now the important Minnesota question. Is this your first time filing a Minnesota return, or did you move? This is not her first time filing, right? She filed last year. She had to pay extra last year. So we would say no. And she did not move. So we can just say no, continue. And that basically takes us through. If she did not file or she moved, then we would have a couple of extra things to click on, but otherwise we're good. All right. Now let's do her one-time tax rebate payment. So again, right, this is a payment of up to $260 for people who are Minnesota residents and filed a 2021 return. It is unfortunately taxable on your federal return, but it is not taxable on your Minnesota return. So we need to enter the form, and then we need to enter a subtraction to make sure you don't have to pay Minnesota taxes on it. So let us start by going into the federal return. We're going to go to 1099 miscellaneous. We're going to enter our information manually. Continue. Again, same sort of process. We're going to just enter the information from our form, however it looks. Address, let me see what I put on there. I think I just said 100 State Way because we might as well have a little fun with it. All right, it's in St. Paul, Minnesota. All of that information would be on that form. It was given to Lisa, and then the $260 shows up in box number 3, just like that. And that's where we go. That's all we need to do for that. We continue. All right, and now we need to go back to the state. So we've added it to the federal. Now we're going to subtract it on the state because we don't have to pay Minnesota taxes on that, which is great. All right. I don't know why it gave me that again, but that's all right. We're going to add more items. And we want to go to subtraction. All right, and then we scroll down. And somewhere down towards the very bottom, here we go. Subtraction for one-time rebate. So you're going to put the amount that was on your 1099 miscellaneous. So for most people, it will be that full 260. If you were a part-year resident of Minnesota in 2021, then they will ratio that amount. So it may not always be 260, but whatever number it is on your 1099 miscellaneous, put that number here because we want to match those numbers. And then we say continue. And then we exit. And we're back at the main page. All right, and then if we were going to file, we would continue on. And it would walk us through checking to file. All right, if you filed last year, you need some reference information. So we can see it looks like we are going to get a refund of $27 from the federal return, but she owes $3 for her Minnesota return. So better than last year, but she still doesn't get a refund. That's okay. All right. So if you filed last year, you're going to need some information from your tax returns. This one, it doesn't like the social security number because it's not a real number. But if it was, then you would be able to keep on going through this process, and it would walk you through how to enter the information for fixing any problems. You want to save a copy of your return, and then it'll walk you through how to file your return, how to get direct deposit or get a mailed check, and so on and so forth. All right. And that is basically preparing Lisa's tax return. So, all right. So I said no originally to the certificate of rent paid, but let's say yes, right? Let's say that she did get a certificate of rent paid. So let's think about whether Lisa would have been eligible for the property tax refund. She definitely met the physical presence test, right? She was here for more than 183 days. She did, in this case, right, she did meet the rent, own, occupy, maintain, and abode thing, right? She had a certificate of rent paid. It was for the full year. However, she would not meet the you must not be a dependent requirement, right? So if we think about Lisa's income, so she had $8,400 of wages that were reported on a W-2. She had $5,000 of treaty exempt wages reported on a 1042S, and she had $260 for a state refund. So if we add those all together, she has something like $13,660. And if we go back to the kind of the analysis that we would want to do, her rent was going to be, let's say, $7,000. Her tuition would have been something like $36,000. She would have paid, say, $5,000 for food, another $1,000 for clothes and fun. So she is already at something like $50,000 of expenses. And she earned less than 14, which is very far from half. So where did that other money come from, right? And for Lisa, right, it came from her parents, her family, right? They gave her the money to go to school here, which is fantastic and wonderful. And she doesn't have to pay any tax on that, right? It's a gift. That's all great. But it does mean that she is not going to be eligible for the property tax refund. All right. So the next step, which I sort of talked about a little bit, which will be filing your return. I'm not going to go through that here. I will say, so if you go through the tools and the guides, they do create the filing instructions as well. If you also want to do it, so we have our individual guides here as well. This is where that tax demo, the updated version will go. And then we also have filing instructions here. One change that you should be aware of is that, so TaxSlayer made an update to their software this year for married non-resident aliens. And if you're a married non-resident alien, you cannot file a joint return with your spouse, and you cannot enter any information about your spouse into the software. And this makes sure that the federal return should e-file successfully without any problems. However, it does mean that for state tax returns, generally those cannot be e-filed as well. So you are going to have to paper file those forms. And if that applies to you, you can just go here, get the paper filing instructions, or they'll be in your guide, personalized guide as well. And it'll walk you through what forms you need to print out and where you need to mail them in. If you owe money, you can either go to the websites here, or our best recommendation is to do a payment as a part of filing your tax return as well. And then you can do direct deposit if you are getting a refund. That gets you your money fastest and doesn't matter if you move. All right, and with that, Lisa's tax return has been prepared and hopefully filed, and she is good to go. Now, what if Lisa gets stuck, right? What if she runs into help? What if she's not so sure about that Minnesota payment? What is she going to do? And she's going to go back to the member home and she's going to go to the Get Help tab. And on that, you'll see that there are lots of options for help. Now, depending on which membership you have, sometimes you may or may not have all of these options, right? We don't have in-person tax clinics at every school across the United States. But we provide email help to everybody, and we provide office hours helps to everybody. Sometimes we can do remote tax clinic appointments. Sometimes we can do in-person clinics. Sometimes we do walk-ins. Those things vary a little bit, but you're always going to be able to get at least email help and office hours help. Currently, this was a month ago, our appointment availability is not as good. Right now, we are basically full through the end of March, and April is starting to fill up, so please book an appointment if you haven't already whenever you see this, because we are running out of capacity to help people. And so if you want help, please book that appointment as soon as you can. All right, and with that, we turned it over to the Q&A process, which we're not going to do as a re-recording. And so I'd like to say thank you for sticking with this process with me, and I hope that you will join us as a member and that we'll get to see you and help you with your taxes at one of our tax clinics this year. Thank you.